Keir Starmer has plunged headfirst into a political firestorm, sparking outrage and widespread criticism after a high-stakes grilling by GB News political editor Christopher Hope. The Labour leader's failure to address immigration in his so-called 6 milestone missions for Britain's future has left both his critics and his supporters questioning whether he truly has a grasp on the country's most pressing issues. The dramatic confrontation took place at Pinewood Studios, where Starmer was expected to outline his vision for Britain's future. But as the interview unfolded, it became clear that immigration, a topic dominating headlines and public discourse, was glaringly absent from his plans. Hope didn't hold back, asking the question that millions of viewers had on their minds.
Chris Hope.
Chris Hope from GB News, Prime Minister. Again, sorry on secure borders. Your plan is to reduce net migration and reduce overall small boat crossings. GB News viewers will be saying simply, is that it, Prime Minister? Why can't you stop the boats and cut net migration to under 100,000? Is it because you can't or you don't want to? And just very quickly, can you afford all this with no more big tax rises?
Look, Chris, we are going to drive down migration, both legal and illegal. That will only be done with a serious plan. We had a gimmick for a number of years called Rwanda. And what happened? The numbers went up. We wasted a lot of money, £700 million, removing 4 volunteers to Rwanda. It didn't work. The only way to make it work is to smash the gangs that are running the vile trade, and that's why we've invested so much in setting up the command that is needed to do that, and with the enforcement action that follows through. And as you know, there was a very significant arrest just the other week in relation to the work that we are doing. That is how you do it. That is serious. That is a government that absolutely is getting to grips with this. Same on legal migration. You invite me to put an arbitrary number on it. For 14 years, we had an arbitrary number under the previous government. They said it was a hard cap. It wasn't hard, and it wasn't a cap. The net result of their deliberate policies was that migration went up 4 times, staggering those figures of last year. So we will not be following that approach. We're going to do this in a serious way to take migration down. And I think that's what the British public want, a serious plan to ensure we've got control of our borders, not arbitrary caps, not gimmicks, because if we've learned one thing from the last 14 years, it's that they have the opposite of the desired effect. Thank you very much, Chris. Gary from Channel 4.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. I'd like to follow on something that Robert Peston was asking about there. Because you say...
This vague response was far from satisfying. Instead of offering specifics, Starmer sidestepped the core of the question, refusing to commit to clear targets or timelines. His reluctance to endorse a 100,000 migration cap, an issue of great significance to many voters, only fueled the perception that Labour lacks both a concrete strategy and the political will to address the problem head-on. The backlash was immediate and relentless. Social media platforms lit up with criticism, with the hashtag Labour Open Borders experiment trending within hours. Frustrated viewers lambasted Starmer for his evasiveness, calling his response a masterclass in political dodging. One Twitter user wrote, "Keir Starmer talks about serious plans, but where's the substance? Just another politician dodging the hard questions." Another commented, "If Labour can't commit to reducing migration, what hope do we have of them fixing the mess we're in? It's all talk, no action." The criticism wasn't confined to social media. Conservative MPs and commentators seized on Starmer's perceived weakness, branding him unfit to tackle one of Britain's biggest challenges. A senior Tory MP declared, "This is proof that Labour lacks both the courage and the competence to deal with immigration. Starmer's empty rhetoric isn't going to stop the boats or reduce migration." Nigel Farage, a long-time critic of Labour's approach to immigration, weighed in with a scathing critique during a GB News segment, calling Labour's policies soft, inconsistent, and utterly disconnected from the concerns of ordinary Britons. Starmer's critics were quick to highlight the irony of his predicament. Just days earlier, he had slammed the Conservatives for their so-called open borders experiment. Yet when pressed to offer Labour's alternative, he failed to deliver anything of substance, leaving the impression that his party is more interested in attacking its rivals than presenting its own solutions. But the immigration controversy is just the tip of the iceberg. Reform UK added fuel to the fire by presenting the largest ever petition to the London Assembly in opposition to Sadiq Khan's proposed toll charges for the Blackwall and Silvertown tunnels. With over 37,000 signatures, the petition reflects growing anger among East London residents who feel disproportionately targeted by the tolls. Richard Tice, leader of Reform UK, didn't hold back, declaring, "These tolls are attacks on hard-working families, and Labour's silence on this issue is deafening. They've abandoned the very people they claim to represent." The proposed tolls, set to cost drivers up to £160 a month for regular use, have sparked widespread backlash. Critics argue that the charges unfairly burden East London residents, while crossings in West London remain toll-free. Reform UK has capitalised on the issue, framing Labour's silence as evidence of a party disconnected from the struggles of ordinary voters. As if the day couldn't get worse for Labour, another crisis looms in the automotive sector. The party's aggressive push for electric vehicle (EV) adoption is wreaking havoc on the UK car industry. Manufacturers, desperate to meet government-mandated EV quotas, have resorted to unsustainable discounts to boost sales. While EV registrations surged by 58.4% last month, this growth came at a steep cost. Industry insiders warn that the heavy discounting is unsustainable and private buyer demand remains weak due to the high upfront cost of EVs and ongoing economic pressures. A senior executive at a major car manufacturer sounded the alarm, stating, "Labour's targets are completely unrealistic. The industry is bending over backwards to meet these quotas, but without proper support, it's a race to the bottom." The chaos in the automotive sector underscores a recurring theme in Labour's approach: lofty ambitions without a realistic roadmap. Critics argue that Starmer's leadership is increasingly characterised by vague promises and a failure to engage with the economic and social realities facing Britain. Even Labour's staunchest supporters are beginning to question the party's direction. One former Labour voter expressed their frustration on GB News, saying, "Labour used to stand for working-class families. Now they're silent on toll charges, dodging immigration, and pushing policies that hurt ordinary people. What happened to the party we believed in?" As the fallout from the GB News interview continues, Starmer's leadership faces its toughest test yet. With an election on the horizon, Labour's ability to recover from these missteps will be crucial. For now, Starmer's performance has left many wondering if Labour truly has what it takes to govern, or if its promises are as empty as its response to the immigration crisis. The stakes couldn't be higher. This isn't just about one bad interview or a handful of policy missteps. This is about whether Labour can convince the British public that it has a vision for the future and the competence to deliver it. For now, Keir Starmer's inability to address immigration, combined with his party's silence on issues like toll charges and its shaky EV policies, has left many voters asking, is Labour really ready to lead?